on the run. With you, my sweet love, there's nothing wrong. Contemplating God under the chemtrails.
Let's move on to step 5, which is add reverb and delay. Now, the first thing when it comes to getting this Lana Del Rey reverb type of effect is I like to put my reverbs and my delays on return tracks. If you don't know what that is, then just go to Google, enter your DAW, if it's Logic or like me, Studio One, whatever it is, say Logic return tracks, what is it? And then just, use that as a way of starting to understand what these things are. But all that aside, here is the crux of how you get a Lana Del Rey reverb effect. You want to add 2 reverbs. Number 1 is a long-ish reverb, and number 2 is just a short ambient room type reverb. So the first reverb I added, I just grabbed my default reverb plugin, which is Valhalla Vintage Verb. I started with the preset, which ended up being Fat Plate is the name of it, and then I made some slight adjustments from there. And this is what it sounds like when I turn on the send on this lead vocal running through that plate reverb. So here's what it sounds like without the reverb, right?
Wearing our jewels in the swimming pool, me and my sister just playing it cool under the chemtrails.
So that's the first reverb we're adding here. It is just like a long-ish reverb. I would say between 2 and 4 seconds on the decay time is great. Maybe go for a plate, maybe a haw type reverb. Just browse through some presets. I could have gone with a haw or a plate. Those would probably be my first 2 choices for this type of sound. And I just found a preset I liked, made some adjustments from there, and I really like the way that this reverb sounds. Oh, and one more thing I will mention about this reverb too that's very important is the EQ. So you need to do a high cut and a low cut, but specifically a high cut, because if I don't have this high cut filter on this reverb turned on, here's what it sounds like.
Go to the market, the kids' swimming pools.
You don't need all those high frequencies. Instead,
baby, what's your sign? My moon's in Leo, my Cancer.
It's like I put a blanket over that reverb sound, and it just gives you more of a vibe. It really does. And now if your particular reverb plugin, of course you don't have to use Valhalla Vintage Verb. I'm sure there's a reverb in your DAW that sounds just great. And if you're not able to add that type of filter EQ inside of the reverb plugin, if you are on a return track like I am, you can always add an EQ after the reverb as well and just do this. This is what we are doing inside of that reverb plugin, just rolling everything off down close to 2K. Okay, so that's the first reverb. The second reverb you want to add is a more up close ambient like room reverb, and this is just a short sounding reverb. And let's turn off the plate for now so we can just dial in that short reverb. So here's what it sounds like.
Over the country club.
Kind of sounds like I'm in a bathroom, right? I just went with the ambience tiled room preset, which is here under the ambiances folder inside of this reverb plugin. I could have also gone with a room, just any type of short, makes it sound like you're kind of in a small space, in a bathroom, in a room, that type of thing. And it sounds really good, especially layered together with that longer, more hollowed out plate reverb that we added. And so if you add both of them together, then it sounds like this.
Wearing our jewels.
Oh, let me turn this back down to 0.
In the swimming pool, me and my sister just playing it.
There's
cool
just the plate or the room.
Over
and here's the long
country
plate.
Club.
Just those two together. It's like, oh, it's so nice because it adds that kind of sheenness with the short room reverb that helps it give it that texture right in your face, but then it's the long, more spacious plate reverb that adds that tail to it. And so those two together just work really, really well when you were going for a Lana Del Rey style vocal mix. Now, one more thing I did to wrap up the reverbs and the delays for this vocal mix is I did also send the lead vocal to a little bit of delay. It's very, very subtle, and I actually have the delay turned off in chorus 1, but then I turn it on for the verse and chorus 2. So it sounds like this, and then we'll talk about it.
The kids' swimming pools. Baby, what's your sign? My moon's in Leo, my Cancer is Sun.
So what we have here, just Valhalla Delay, which is my go-to delay plugin. I just messed around with the milliseconds knob until I found, just a good echo time, and then the feedback, turn that up a bit. I've added the ducking as well. That way, every time my vocal is singing, that ducks the delay signal, which is just a really cool feature inside of Valhalla Delay. And then after that, I actually added a plate reverb after the delay, because just like the reverbs, the delay is on a return track. So I added some reverb to just the delay signal itself, and that's why the delay sounds a little bit reverbic as well.
The kids swimming pools.
Right?
Baby, what's your song?
And then just like with the reverb too, I'm using the EQ high cut. So rolling off all the high end all the way down to like 1800. And if you want to know what that looks like on a regular EQ, it's literally doing this number. Or wait, this one. It is doing like this. All of this is getting rolled off on this delay, and you just have that mid-rangey sound, that very, very warm blanketed delay effect that's just barely sneaking through the mix. Now what I'm gonna do is turn off the backgrounds. That way we can just listen to the lead vocal and the rest of the mix, and here is what it sounds like with those effects we added.
There's nothing wrong, contemplating God under the chemtrails over the country club.
Here's without those reverbs.
Wearing our jewels in the